So far, each set of Star Wars films has introduced us to a new character that fits a very particular profile. Someone with a badass look that makes a huge impression on fans despite having very little screen time and very few lines, who then exits the story in a somewhat lackluster way, only to be brought back later on. I believe Darth Maul fits that archetype in the prequels. Boba Fett holds that role in the original trilogy, and Captain Phasma in The Force Awakens. I know immediately people are going to want to argue with me that FN2199, aka Traitor, deserves to take Phasma's place in this video, but his exit was anything but lackluster. He took on a lightsaber with a riot baton and won before being blown away by a bowcaster. Was he taken from us too soon? Sure, but he doesn't quite fit the profile. So for the remainder of this video, I'll be comparing Maul, Fett, and Phasma in their film roles to decide who the true badass of the Star Wars universe is. I'll be talking about screen time, spoken lines, character design, and overall history. First, let's just make sure they each fit the archetype I'm describing. Darth Maul. His character design is downright chilling. He has less than 8 minutes of screen time in the films, which is actually far more than I thought. He's just standing around with other characters in quite a few scenes. And after a harrowing fight, he's easily cut in half. Many fans, including myself, feel that his death was a major misstep in the prequels. And he was brought back for many episodes of the Clone Wars and now Rebels. Boba Fett. He's got some of the coolest, most recognizable armor in cinema. He has just under 5 minutes of screen time between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He's killed by slapstick comedy basically, but he was brought back in the Legends timeline, and while it's not completely confirmed, it's very strongly hinted that he will return in the canon as well. Finally, Captain Phasma. Her chrome-plated armor was one of the most highly discussed character designs from The Force Awakens as the trailers were released. She has less than 3 minutes of screen time in the film. She isn't killed, but she exits the story by being thrown in a trash compactor. While her fate was left ambiguous, it has been confirmed that she will return for Episode 8. So yeah, everyone fits the bill, but who is the coolest character? I'm going to look at screen time and decide who made the biggest impression in the shortest amount of time. And I've got to say, Fett wins pretty easily for me, but Maul is a close second. With under 5 minutes spread between two films, Boba Fett makes a huge impression and is one of the most loved characters in Star Wars. In addition, a lot of his screen time is like Maul's. He's just standing around in the background. But the scenes that actually focus on him leave such a strong impression that he has to win this. How about spoken lines? Who has the coolest dialogue? Maul has 3 lines in the films. His best line being, "At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge." Pretty solid start there, Maul, but let's see what Fett has to say. Boba Fett has 4 lines, and 3 of them are back-talking Darth Vader, arguably the scariest figure in his universe. He all but rolls his eyes when Vader tells him not to kill anybody. Then he keeps telling Vader how to do his job and asking if he'll be compensated if Han dies in the carbon freeze. Giving lip to Vader, it doesn't get much cooler than that. Captain Phasma has 7 lines. She reports to Kylo Ren, she reports to General Hux, and she threatens Finn a few times. Ultimately, she's not that intimidating when she's either reporting obediently to her superiors or berating those under her command. Granted, the First Order is all about obedience, but her lines just don't compare to Fett or Maul. I'm gonna have to give the edge to Fett here. Moving on to character design, I don't want to spend too much time here, we've all seen them. I really like all their designs, but I specifically remember seeing Maul for the first time. His eyes, his tattoos, the horns, it sent chills down my spine, and it still does. How could this guy grow up to be anything but evil? On top of that, he's not wearing armor. Fett and Phasma both have admittedly cool armor, but without them, they're just human, or Mandalorian. Maul looks badass 100% of the time, so I'm going to give him the win here. Finally, as sometimes silly and fan-servicey as their returns could be, let's discuss what each character did after their supposed deaths, or in Phasma's case, trash compactoring. I wasn't a huge fan of the announcement that Maul would return in the Clone Wars. However, his episodes turned out to be some of my favorite. He survived being cut in half, fueled purely by his hatred and the power of the dark side. He put together an army of criminals, defeated Pre-Vizsla, the leader of Death Watch in single combat, and even controlled Death Watch for a time. When he lost it all, he traveled to Malachor, avoiding the Empire, and he disposed of at least 3 Imperial Inquisitors. In the canon, we don't know Boba Fett's continued story, so we'll go off legends here. After escaping the Sarlacc, Fett became Mandalore and led his people through the Yuuzhan Vong War. Even in his old age, he continued his adventures and trained Jaina Solo, one of the most powerful warriors in the New Jedi Order, so that she could defeat her brother, the Sith Lord Darth Caedus. Comparing Captain Phasma here is a little unfair because Episode 8 isn't out yet. I do feel that more could have been done with her character, and I sincerely hope they redeem her somewhat in the following films. For history, again, I'm giving the edge to Maul. A member of the Sith, a Dark Jedi, and even a Mandalorian leader. He definitely has the most compelling story to me. So I tried to look at this as objectively as I could, and it basically came down to a tie between Maul and Fett. To break the tie, I looked at their quote-unquote deaths, and that's where Maul pulls ahead. He went out fighting 2 Jedi, and he was able to kill one of them before being cut in half. Fett's death is one of the fans' major gripes about Return of the Jedi. Knocked into the Sarlacc by a blind man on accident. The winner for me overall is Darth Maul. But Fett is a very, very close second, and my opinion could very well change if the new canon continues to provide him with new and exciting adventures. And by the way, he's been in the Star Wars and Darth Vader comics, and those stories have been a really good start at exactly that. And of course, there's still plenty of time for Phasma to rise in the ranks, but at this moment in time, I'm giving the crown to Maul. Before I go, I want to give a quick shout out to Toggle. Not only did I use their service to help create this video, but they were kind enough to sponsor it. Toggle is a time tracking app. It's crazy easy to use and also automatically generates reports and graphs. So all I had to do was watch some Star Wars movies, which, let's face it, I was going to do anyway, and hit start or pause whenever Maul, Fett, or Phasma were on screen. Then boom, instant pie chart. You can check out Toggle for yourself by following the link in the description. That's it for today. Please subscribe, like, and share to see new Star Wars videos every weekday. And if there's a specific Star Wars topic you'd like me to cover, leave it in the comments and I'll do an episode about it. As always, thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.